Thank you for your letter of June 26 about the proposed association of Singapore and the Borneo Territories with the Federation of Malaya. As I said in Parliament on June 20, I had observed with interest the constructive suggestion you made in the course of your speech in Singapore on May 27. The ideas which I know have been developing in your mind for some time, and which you have now put forward, could have an encouraging effect for the political stability of Southeast Asia, and I warmly welcome the stimulus they have already given to discussion. I was particularly glad to receive from you the secret memorandum enclosed with your letter, setting out your ideas about the form of such an association and the ways in which it might be brought about. I have arranged for the ideas in your memorandum to be examined with all possible expedition. We have already had an opportunity of discussing it with Lord Selkirk and Sir Geoffroy Tory while they were over here. As you know, these very important proposals require consideration from a number of different aspects. You will therefore understand that I cannot at this stage commit the British government on the possibility of a wider association. In particular, there are some points, on defence and on the Borneo Territories, on which they will need to be reassured. On defence, the question of the continued use of our important bases and facilities in Malaya and the other countries concerned raises very large issues. Certainly the present difficult state of affairs in Southeast Asia, and the need in all our interests to maintain confidence there, makes it very important that nothing should be said which might cast doubt on the maintenance of British defence capabilities in the area. Our mutual friends in Australia and New Zealand are of course also directly concerned, and we shall wish to consult with them. As regards the Borneo Territories, I hear that you have just been visiting Brunei and Sarawak yourself. You will thus have been able to form some preliminary impressions about the situation there, and the state of opinion on a wider association of the kind you have in mind. Our impression is that the idea of finding their eventual political future in some kind of link with Malaya is seen to have attractions. This suggests that, if the ground were carefully prepared, and the advantages of any wider association became generally recognized, the Borneo Territories would be ready to come in as free and willing members. I am sure you will agree that it is most important at this initial stage, and in view of the doubts and hesitations which have been expressed publicly in the territories over what close political association would involve for the various races there, that we do not give the impression that we are deciding on their future without regard for their own wishes. I had been greatly looking forward to discussions about this project with yourself and Mr. Lee Kuan Yew in September. I am most disappointed that I had to postpone my visit to you. I think it is important that we should meet soon to talk these matters over, and since you have been good enough to suggest that you would be prepared to come to London, I am wondering whether you could in fact visit us instead. Several of my colleagues are of course closely involved and our various engagements here would not permit us to meet as early as September. As you know, the international calendar in September and October is at the moment rather uncertain and I may not yet be able to propose a definite date on which we might have talks. I would very much hope, however, that it would be possible to hold these in late October or early November. If this period would be suitable for you in principle, perhaps you would let me write again in late September in order to propose a definite date. I believe it would be useful if Mr. Lee could come to London at about the same time so that we could bring him into our discussions. This would, I think, be a necessary preliminary to any formal conference which might seem appropriate later on, in which of course we should have to include the Borneo Territories. Would you be good enough to let me know whether my suggestion for a visit appeals to you and whether the sort of dates I have suggested would suit you so that we can sound out Mr. Lee? In the meantime, for this and for a number of other reasons, I should greatly prefer that nothing be said publicly about a possible visit.